Siempre he creído que a los presentadores de MAGA les encanta ser humillados por los demócratas. Les fascina cuando un demócrata va a su programa y los deja totalmente callados. Y los hace quedar como unos auténticos tontos frente a su audiencia. Y esta teoría que yo tengo se confirmó aún más cuando Buttigieg apareció como un presentador local que estaba tratando de hacer todo lo posible para defender el gran y hermoso proyecto de ley de Donald Trump. Y fue inmediatamente silenciado y dejado en ridículo por parte de Pete. Todo esto en un clip que vas a ver más adelante durante el video. Pero Pete no solo dejó en ridículo a este presentador, sino que también hizo una crítica brillante sobre este proyecto de ley, cosa que también vamos a revisar durante el video. Pero primero veamos la parte de confrontación por parte de Pete. Miren el clip, por favor.
Democrats fell out of step with voters on immigration under the Biden years, arguably opening the door for President Trump's big crackdown now. How do Democrats reshape their immigration policy and their messaging on this?
Look, I was part of the last administration. I do believe that there should have been action quicker and a more immediate understanding of how important it was to deal with the issues at the border. But I will also say that President Biden's executive action changed all of that. I think the Democratic Party now needs to take a hard look at why there's been so much concern around the border for many years and what it would take to have true immigration reform.
In 2019, you said you supported decriminalizing illegal border crossings. Is that still your position?
You know, I view that differently now that I saw the extreme pressure that border communities faced in the years since. There's a lot of things that look different about a decade later, and this is one of them.
Americans are often frustrated by the slow and ineffective pace of government, but Donald Trump and the Republicans seem to be getting things done very quickly. The president has already delivered on many of his campaign promises. How do you counter that?
Well, doing something quickly is not the same as doing the right thing. He came in, said he was going to cut prices on day one. Instead, prices went up when he started talking about tariffs on day one. Said he was going to bring peace to the Middle East on day one. Instead, there is even more chaos and violence there. Said a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, one of the things he did very quickly was increase the deficit. But that's not the kind of leadership we need right now. We all want decisive action. We want decisive action that will actually do some good in everyday life. And so far, the biggest priority has been tax cuts for billionaires. They can be very decisive and quick when it comes to that. Not so much when it comes to solving the problems that everyday Americans are actually facing in daily life around here, like the cost of goods.
Looking ahead to the midterms now, you know, many of the deepest cuts from this big, beautiful bill don't take effect until after the midterms, especially for Medicaid and SNAP. Do you think that makes it harder for Democrats to message? What should the strategy be?
Yeah, I think Republicans really showed their hand here by timing a lot of the worst health care cuts to come just after the election when they will be held accountable. But I don't think that changes the message. In fact, if anything, I think it adds urgency. It means the message will be that you may lose your health care or your food support or other community things you count on very soon after the election if we don't turn things around, if we don't get a different Congress and different leadership that will say, wait a minute, it's not okay to kick more than 10 million Americans off their health insurance.
You know, there's some new reporting just out from Axios saying that Democrats, you know, the Democratic base, Democratic voters really want to see some more action from their leaders. They really want politicians to get down and dirty, to kind of stoop down to the level that they say Republicans are going. Do you believe that should kind of be the approach? Do you want to see Democrats get feistier?
Well, I think it's really important to pick good, tough fights and fight them well. That doesn't mean emulating Republicans or emulating the president's tendency to lie or break promises or somehow try to trick American voters. I do think it means going out into places where Democrats haven't been seen in a long time and not just explaining what we're against, but what we're for, making it clear how everyday life could be better if we were given a chance to deliver on things like expanded access to healthcare, paid family leave, higher pay and wages, and a lot of other things that most Americans agree with us need to happen.
Elon Musk just announced he is going to launch a third party here in America, or another party. What do you make of his promise now to maybe hold some politicians accountable? He says we live under a one-party system. Do you think that his new party will have any effect?
Look, I think the more the merrier as far as our political landscape. I think a lot of Americans are frustrated with the two-party system. I haven't yet heard what the kind of central idea of his party would be. But I do think it's really interesting that so many different sides of the political spectrum are outraged over this bill. Whether you're a Democrat who's upset about the tax cuts for the rich, or whether you're someone like Elon Musk who's upset about the enormous increases in the deficit, all of them are further indications that this administration and definitely this Congress are just wildly out of step with what most Americans want to see.
Así es exactamente como debe de hacerse. Y no es sorpresa para nadie que uno de los mejores comunicadores del Partido Demócrata siga comunicando tan bien sobre esta aberración de proyecto de ley que tiene Donald Trump. Y creo que es muy importante seguir señalando estas promesas hechas y rotas completamente por parte de Donald Trump, enfocándose específicamente en los temas económicos que Donald Trump ha fracasado completamente durante su presidencia. Esta idea absurda que él tiene de que sabe cómo poder traer de nuevo los trabajos de manufactura es simplemente falsa. Especialmente cuando solo en el último mes hemos visto que más de 7.000 de estos empleos se han ido totalmente del país. Y todo esto bajo el mandato de Donald Trump. Donald Trump está perdiendo constantemente los empleos que había prometido recuperar. Y todo debido a sus absurdos aranceles, que no son nada más que una imposición para ti. Y la situación, aunque no lo creas, está a punto de empeorar. Como detalló Buttigieg en su análisis y su desmontaje del presupuesto de Donald Trump. Miren el clip, por favor.
Hey, it's Pete. I know a lot of us were frustrated and disappointed to see Congress pass the so-called beautiful bill and Donald Trump sign it, giving himself and his fellow billionaires a tax cut, paying for it by cutting health care off for millions of Americans, and blowing up the deficit while they did it. This bill is full of destructive measures that will make life in America worse. It will make America sicker, literally, with thousands of people expected to die sooner because of the loss of health care. It'll make America hungrier, literally, by cutting food aid that goes to worthy Americans who need the help. All in order to make sure that the wealthiest get a tax break that they don't need and that many of them weren't even asking for. Seeing something like that, seeing Congress and the president break their promises and ignore the American people, is enough to make us question the basics of our democratic republic. But I think it's really important at a moment like this to understand that that's not the end, it's the beginning. It is too late to stop President Trump from signing that bill. But it's not too late to change what happens next. Many of the worst provisions of this law don't take effect for 1 or 2 or 3 years, which means it's not too late to elect leaders who will do something different. We can still change these policies. With the right leadership, we can make sure that the wealthy do pay their fair share. And we can save the lives of the Americans who are going to lose their health insurance in the next few years if this bill is not changed. We can also change what happens politically, making sure there's actually a price to be paid for breaking your promises. It's not just Donald Trump who signed this bill, or Vice President J.D. Vance who broke the tie in the Senate so that this unpopular bill could pass.
Estados Unidos necesita más demócratas que expongan tan bien el mensaje como lo hace Pete. Este es un enfoque que deberían utilizar para poder denunciar toda la administración de Donald Trump. Y me encantaría que esta información llegue a todo el mundo para que lo puedan lograr entender. Esta es la pieza legislativa más impopular que ha tenido Estados Unidos durante toda su historia. Y cuanto más gente escucha de qué se trata esta ley legislativa, más gente la odia. Así que sigamos hablando de esto. Como lo dije anteriormente, me encantaría que este video llegue a muchas personas para que lo puedan entender y más gente sepa de qué se trata todo esto. Yo siento que aunque parezca muy difícil, los demócratas que están en el poder deberían, más que de hablar en lo grande, ir uno a uno, hablar con personas que han perdido empleos, hablar con personas que se han visto afectadas directamente por culpa de Donald Trump y exponer sus casos. Siento yo que el hecho de que las personas conozcan lo que están pasando las personas normales de la calle sería muy importante para que todos se den cuenta de lo pésimo presidente que es Donald Trump. Bueno, del pésimo presidente que es Donald Trump. Siento yo que no hay mejor forma de llegar al pueblo, de que la gente se dé cuenta de lo que está pasando, que el mismo pueblo exponga lo que siente, que el mismo pueblo exponga lo que está pasando, que el mismo pueblo exponga cómo está sufriendo por culpa de este presidente. Pero bueno, esta es mi simple opinión y yo dudo que un mandatario o alguien que esté dentro del Senado, de la Cámara de Representantes, me preste atención. Por eso me ha encantado ver a Andy Beshear allá afuera, el gobernador de un estado republicano, hablando de cómo estos recortes van a afectar de manera abrupta a todos los votantes republicanos. Alguien que está haciendo algo espectacular en la política y que yo creo que debería tener más atención es Jon Ossoff, y me encantaría que veas el clip en el que se expresa muy bien. Miren el clip, por favor.
And so you will be running, no doubt, against a Republican who will be able to say none of these cuts have happened yet, and so all of this scare talk has been unnecessary.
Well, first of all, you mentioned a number of Georgia hospitals. There are as many as 20 Georgia hospitals that are at risk of closure across the state of Georgia. We've already lost 9 or 10 in the last 10 years. And their finances, their impact, their prospects, their potential to attract investment and to generate financing is immediately impacted. So the risk to hospitals and nursing homes is here now. Not to mention, the failure to renew Affordable Care Act benefits means that hundreds of thousands of my constituents are likely to see huge increases in their health insurance premiums next year. Not in 2027, not in 2028, but next year. And the public sees this for what it is. It is a giveaway, it is a handout to wealthy political donors paid for with trillions of dollars of debt that's undermining international confidence in the creditworthiness of the United States and damaging the value of the dollar, and paid for by ripping healthcare away from working class and middle class families in Georgia and pushing the whole healthcare system closer and closer to financial insolvency.
Existen dos comunicadores excelentes. Ya está Jon Ossoff y Buttigieg, y sería muy inteligente de parte de los demócratas darle todo el apoyo posible a ellos, ya que Estados Unidos necesita demócratas jóvenes con mejores ideas, personas que sepan cómo salir, cómo hablar, cómo expresarse muy bien, y que sean inteligentes para poder defenderse de cualquier ataque republicano. Antes de terminar este video, te quiero dar un mensaje muy importante. Si tú vives en Estados Unidos, trabajas en Estados Unidos, te recomiendo que ahorres dinero. Todo lo que está pasando apunta a que Estados Unidos va a caer en una recesión económica. Una recesión económica es una crisis. Una crisis económica va de la mano con el desempleo y con la falta de productos. Al haber desempleo, la gente tiene mucho menos dinero, y la falta de productos causa que los precios suban. Esto en la economía se lo conoce como estanflación. La estanflación es cuando la inflación va en aumento y existe desempleo. Por lo general son medidas que van de la mano, o sea, cuando hay mucho desempleo, hay poca inflación. Y cuando hay bastante empleo, o sea, poco desempleo, hay mucha inflación porque hay dinero en el mercado. Pero cuando hay mucha inflación y mucho desempleo, o sea que no hay dinero para comprar cosas que están más caras, ocurre esta crisis. Y cuando la gente entra en crisis, por lo general saca todo su dinero del banco, por lo general muchas personas cierran sus empresas, despiden empleados. Y si tú trabajas en Estados Unidos en un empleo que no es tan seguro, te recomiendo por favor ahorres dinero en el banco y ahorres dinero en efectivo. Solo para evitar que algo pase. Te recomendaría que no viajes, que no gastes en cosas innecesarias, no te compres un carro si es por lujo. Prácticamente te diría que vives un poco más austero, al menos hasta mediados del próximo año, para evitar cualquier cosa. Si esta recesión llega a ocurrir, que Dios mediante no ocurra, me lo vas a agradecer. Y en el caso de que no ocurra, al menos vas a haber ahorrado dinero, que nunca está mal ahorrar. Pero bueno, como siempre lo digo, para mí lo más importante es saber tu opinión al respecto y me encantaría que la pongas en los comentarios. Y está de más decirlo, pero si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense y te gusta estar informado de qué está pasando en Estados Unidos, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal, ya que subo videos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.